Echoes in the Green, full-length story. Once upon a time, in a land where the earth itself seemed endless and wild, there lay a jungle so vast that even the bravest of men trembled before its silence. The trees grew like towers, blocking out the sun. The ground was damp, soft, and dangerous, alive with snakes, insects, and roots that grabbed at every step. And in the middle of this endless green maze, a team of soldiers moved cautiously, their weapons raised, their hearts pounding with the weight of unseen eyes. Among them was Captain Ayaan. He was young, but his face carried years of war. His sharp jaw and determined eyes told the world he was a leader. But behind those eyes lived shadows, ghosts of soldiers he had lost, mistakes that haunted him in the silence of the night. By his side was Private Rafiq, a man full of life. Even in the middle of danger, Rafiq had a smile, a joke, a way of making everyone feel human. To Ayaan, he was more than just a soldier. He was a brother, the kind of friend who pulled you back when the darkness grew too heavy. The jungle was quiet that morning. Too quiet. The only sound were the crunch of boots on wet soil and the distant cry of unseen birds. Ayaan felt it in his bones. Something was wrong. And then it happened. A sudden crack. A bullet whizzed past. In a heartbeat, the jungle exploded. Gunfire thundered from every direction. Explosions shook the ground, tearing leaves and branches into fire and smoke. Ayaan shouted orders, pulling his men into cover. The soldiers returned fire, but the jungle was alive with enemies. Through the chaos, Ayaan saw it. Rafiq being dragged into the trees by dark figures, his voice calling out, "Ayaan, don't let them." The sound vanished in the roar of war. The fight was brutal. By the time silence returned, half the unit was gone. The rest scattered, broken, and Rafiq was gone. Ayaan's commander barked through the radio. "Fall back, Captain. That's an order." But Ayaan stood frozen, staring at the trail of blood vanishing into the jungle. His heart screamed louder than orders. "No," he whispered, "I'm not leaving him." And so, Ayaan stepped alone into the green abyss. The jungle closed around him like a cage. Each step felt heavier. Each shadow whispered threats. Sweat dripped down his face, his breath sharp in the humid air. At night, he built small fires, but the sounds of the forest, howls, cries, rustles, never let him sleep. Hunger clawed at him. Insects bit at his skin. But worse than all of it were the memories. Faces of men he had failed, eyes staring at him from the darkness. Days passed. His uniform tore, his boots filled with mud. Yet he pressed on, following the faint signs, broken branches, blood on leaves, footprints half hidden in the soil. One night, as he moved silently through the undergrowth, he heard a voice. A woman's voice. From the shadows stepped Layla, a mysterious guide of the jungle. Her face was painted with dirt, her movements like the wind. She aimed a blade at him. "Why are you here, soldier?" she demanded. Ayaan raised his hands, weary but firm. "My friend has been taken. I'll walk through fire itself to bring him back." Layla studied him. Then, slowly, she lowered her weapon. "The jungle eats men like you alive," she warned. "But if your heart is true, I will show you the paths." Together, they moved deeper. Layla taught him to listen. The jungle spoke in silence. When birds stopped singing, enemies were near. When the wind carried the smell of smoke, danger was ahead. Finally, they reached a ridge. Below, hidden among trees, was the enemy camp, a fortress of wood and fire. Torches burned. Men laughed around fires. And chained among the prisoners was Rafiq, weak but alive. Ayaan's chest tightened. "I'm coming for you, brother," he whispered. That night, under the cover of moonlight, Ayaan crept into the camp. Each step was death waiting to happen. He moved like a shadow, taking out guards silently, dragging their bodies into the dark. Finally, he reached Rafiq. Their eyes met. Tears filled Rafiq's eyes. "I knew you'd come," he whispered, voice broken. Ayaan cut the chains. "Always." But fate was cruel. A guard spotted them. A shout pierced the night. Suddenly, fire and bullets ripped the air. Sirens blared. The camp awoke in chaos. Ayaan dragged Rafik, bullets tearing around them. Layla appeared, leading them through hidden trails, the jungle itself guiding their escape. But behind them, a voice thundered, Commander Idris, the ruthless leader. You cannot run from me, soldier. This jungle belongs to me. The chase was merciless. Through rivers, caves, and cliffs, Idris and his men pursued them. At last, the fugitives reached an ancient stone watchtower, half buried in vines, a relic of forgotten wars. With nowhere left to run, they made their stand. Rafik, weak but determined, loaded a rifle. Layla laid traps with vines and spikes, and Ayaan prepared for war. The night lit with fire as the enemy surrounded them. Explosions shook the ground. Ayaan fought like a man possessed, each strike fueled by rage and love. The jungle itself seemed to join him. Snakes in the grass, shadows that confused the enemy, traps that crushed their advance. At last, only Idris remained. The two men faced each other, blades drawn, under the burnie. The fight was brutal. Each strike echoed with years of pain. Idris sneered, "You'll lose him like you lost the others." But Ayaan roared, "Not this time." With one final blow, Ayaan struck him down. Idris collapsed, his last breath stolen by the jungle. Dawn broke. The rain washed the blood from the leaves. Silence returned. Rafik, battered but alive, leaned on Ayaan's shoulder. "You didn't leave me," he whispered. Ayaan's eyes softened. "Never." Layla stood at the edge of the forest. She gave him a faint smile. Then, as silently as she had arrived, she disappeared into the mist, becoming one with the jungle again. The two soldiers walked into the sunrise, brothers in arms, survivors of the green hell. And so, the jungle returned to silence. But within its shadows lived a story of loyalty, sacrifice, and survival. An echo in the green that would never fade.